Accessibility of Electronic Communication Services, or ECS. Summary Information Notice. The content is as follows. Number 1, Introduction. Number 2, the respondents to our call for inputs. Number 3, the key points raised by respondents. Number 4, the European Accessibility Act, or the EAA for short. Number 5, Conclusion. Summary. Number 1, Introduction. About this document. This document is a summary of the Information Notice Accessible Measures, or ComReg 25/04. It tells you about our work to make sure people with disabilities have the same access to electronic communication services, or ECS, as people without disabilities. Everyone should be able to choose and access the same level of communication services, even if we use the service in a different way. You can watch videos in Irish Sign Language explaining this document on our website. Who are we? The Commission for Communications Regulation, or ComReg, regulates the electronic communications sector in Ireland. The areas we regulate include Electronic Communication Networks, or ECN, Electronic Communication Services, or ECS, Radio Communications, Broadcasting Transmission, We have a wide range of tasks and aims when it comes to regulating ECN and ECS, in line with European, EU and national legislation. ComReg's measures. ComReg's measures were introduced in 2014 and 2015 to meet the needs of people with disabilities who want to choose and use ECS with confidence. Summary of ComReg's measures. Providers of ECS, or service providers, must make the following services available to people with disabilities: accessible complaints procedure, accessible directory inquiries, accessible top-up facility for prepaid mobile telephone users, accessible billing, accessible facility to test compatibility of terminal equipment or appropriate returns policy. Facility for disabled subscribers to register their requirements. Provision of a text relay service, or TRS. Accessible information. Requirement for an accessibility statement. Further information on ComReg's measures. On our website, you can watch videos that summarize ComReg's measures. You can learn more about them in more detail in these ComReg decision documents. Electronic communications measures to ensure equivalence of access and choice for disabled end users. Measures for people with disabilities, requirement for an accessibility statement. Provision of access to a text relay service. Call for inputs or public consultation. On the 4th of September 2023, ComReg published the following three: a public consultation known as a call for inputs, a related summary document, and a related summary in Irish Sign Language, ISL. The public consultation document aimed to ask people with disabilities for their views of ComReg's measures. We wanted to know if our measures meet the needs of people with disabilities. When they chose to access and use ECS, when they engage with or contact their service provider, and throughout the consumer journey. In terms of providing adequate consumer protection. After the call for inputs, since we published the call for inputs on our measures, the European Accessibility Act, the EAA 5, has become part of Irish law. ComReg has been given a new role as a compliance authority for the ECS and the Emergency Call Answering Service. You can read more about the EAA in Section 3 of the Information Notice 25/04. The respondents to our call for inputs. Number 2. Below is a list of the 14 organisations and individuals that responded to our call for inputs. We wish to thank the respondents for their submissions to the call for inputs. We publish the submissions for the call for inputs, subject to the protection of any confidential information, on our website 25/04A. Here are the 14 organisations. Number 3. The key points raised by respondents. The respondents said the following. They broadly supported the continued importance of ComReg's measures when choosing and using ECS. They broadly supported continuing ComReg's measures to make sure the ECS is accessible to everyone. They noted that ComReg's measures are being used by those who need them. They noted technical and legislative changes that affect the accessibility of ECS. In particular, stakeholders noted the following. 1. A continued need for support. For people with disabilities to continue to need measures to support their access to ECS and other services. Number 2. Measures with low usage. Some of the measures had low usage, such as a text relay service, or TRS in short, and accessible directory inquiries, or 196 for short. Number 3, continued support from service providers. The service providers continue to support ComReg's measures. Number 4, demographic and technical changes. An aging population and advances in assistive technologies and artificial intelligence, or AI, may affect the demand and use of ECS. Number 5, legislative changes. Many of the accessibility requirements of the EAA apply in Ireland from the 28th of June 2025. Number 4, the European Accessibility Act, or the EAA. Service providers will have obligations under the EAA. These will include the following 3. Accessible information. Service providers must give people with disabilities access to all relevant information about the ECS, including accessibility features and facilities. Number 2, customer support services. Where available, customer support services must give information on the accessibility of the services. ComReg notes the European Commission's request to develop 3 new standards. These new standards include a harmonised standard for the accessibility of support services related to products and services. This includes, for example, help desks, call centres, relay services, and training services. Real-time text and emergency communications. From the 28th of June 2025, service providers must provide the following: make an emergency real-time text or TT service available on mobile services in Ireland. And, in addition, make sure the Emergency Call Answering Service, or ECAS, can accept ORTT calls. The ORTT service will provide access to emergency services. Since 2012, people with disabilities have been able to use 112 SMS text services to access the emergency services. This is accessible 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The EAA specifically notes that its provisions harmonise requirements for ECS and are complementary to the requirements on equivalent access and choice in the EU Directive 2018/1972, also known as the Code. Service providers will need to review the EAA requirements alongside ComReg's measures to consider any impact they may have on their services in meeting their requirements, particularly in relation to the following 3: accessibility statements, accessible customer support services, including complaints and handling queries, providing information on the accessibility of the ECS service, Number 5. Conclusion. Since the introduction of ComReg's measures and the call for inputs, there has been technological changes as well as changes in the law. Under the European Accessibility Act, the EAA, service providers have new requirements to comply with. This includes providing accessible information about their accessible ECS. This information may be included in general terms and conditions or the equivalent. Documents such as the accessibility statement, which is currently provided as part of ComReg's measures. We understand that service providers are preparing for the EAA requirements to be put in place, but they are not yet in force. Therefore, we are not proposing changes to our measures at this time. We will monitor the EAA as part of our new role as the compliance authority for the EAA. More information about this role is set out in Section 3 of the Information Notice 25/04. Currently, ComReg's measures remain in place. However, with advances in technology, ComReg's measures for people with disabilities may no longer be needed as the measures become outdated and replaced. ComReg will continue to monitor this. Further details of the responses to the call for inputs are available in Section 2 of the Information Notice, ComReg Document 25/04, and the Submissions Document, ComReg Document 25/04A.